The old woman selling roasted corn was the first to scream. Black SUVs. Every head in the dusty village turned. Children stopped playing football. Women abandoned their market stalls. Even the goats scattered as three glossy black SUVs thundered down the narrow dirt road, throwing clouds of red dust into the afternoon sky. Nobody important ever came to Olaran village. Nobody. So why would vehicles that looked like they belonged outside a billionaire's mansion be racing toward the poorest house in the community? Inside that tiny mud brick house, Joy was rinsing cassava leaves for dinner when she heard the engines. Her hands froze. No. It couldn't be. Not after 13 years. Not after the promise he never kept. She slowly looked through the cracked kitchen window. The convoy wasn't slowing down. It was coming straight to her gate. Behind her, 12-year-old Kelechi tightened his grip on his school bag. His eyes widened. His lips parted. Then he whispered the words that made Joy's heart stop beating. Mom. I think he's here. She didn't ask who. There had only ever been one man whose return could turn her blood cold. One man who had disappeared before his son took his first breath. One man whose name had become forbidden inside this house. The first SUV stopped. The second parked behind it. Bodyguards stepped out first. Then a tall man in an immaculate charcoal suit unfolded himself from the back seat. The village fell completely silent. Even the birds seemed to stop singing. Joy felt the bowl slip from her trembling hands. It shattered across the floor. Because standing at her broken wooden gate was the man she had buried in her heart 13 years ago. Jae-won. The Korean billionaire, who had vanished without ever knowing she was carrying his child. And judging by the way his eyes locked onto the 12-year-old boy standing behind her, he hadn't come back by accident. If your chest just tightened the way hers did, hit that subscribe button right now, Beaker. Because Seoul and Savannah Tales is about to take you somewhere you will not want to leave until the very end. Turn on the notification bell. Because what happens in the next few minutes will change everything you think you know about the man who walks through that gate. Joy's hand finds the doorframe. She needs it to stay standing. Kelechi, she says, and her voice comes out steadier than she feels. Go to your room. But now. He does not move fast enough. He is still staring at the man walking up the path, and Joy understands why. The boy has his father's exact walk. His father's exact jaw. 13 years of Joy telling herself the resemblance was coincidence, was just genetics playing a cruel joke, and now the proof is standing at her gate in the flesh, close enough to see for himself. Jae-won stops 3 feet from her door. His eyes move past her, to the boy in the doorway behind her, and Joy watches something break open in his face. Joy, he says. Just her name. Like it costs him something to say it. You have some nerve, she says, and the words come out sharper than she planned. 13 years of grief finally finding a target. 13 years, Jae-won. 13 years and now you show up at my gate like. Whose son is that? The question lands like a slap. Because he already knows. She can see it in his face, in the way his hands have curled into fists at his sides, in the way he cannot stop looking at the boy who is trying, badly, to hide behind his mother. Get off my property. Joy. You left me. Her voice breaks on the word, 13 years of pride crumbling in an instant. You promised me you would come back and you never did, and now you want to stand here and ask me questions like you have the right? Jae-won's jaw tightens. I did come back. Lies. 3 months after I left. I came back to this exact village and they told me you had gone. Married. Moved away with a new husband. His voice shakes, just slightly, just enough that Joy notices. They told me you did not want to be found. The world tilts underneath her. Who told you that? Your brother. Joy's stomach drops so fast she has to grip the doorframe again. Emeka. Her own brother, standing between her and the only man she ever loved, and doing it with a lie so complete that it stole 13 years from both of them. If this story is already breaking your heart, drop a comment right now telling me where you are watching from, because I promise you, this is only the beginning, and what comes next will make you furious. 13 years earlier, the village is smaller, poorer, and Joy is 20 years old with dreams too big for the dust roads she walks every day. Jae-won arrives with a foreign agricultural company, tall and awkward in the heat, hopelessly unable to bargain at the market without being cheated, and Joy is the one who teaches him. She teaches him the language. She teaches him which mangoes are ripe. She teaches him, without meaning to, how to fall in love with a place he was only supposed to visit for 6 months. He teaches her English idioms that make her laugh until she cries. He teaches her about his country, about Seoul, about a father who runs a company so large it has its own building downtown, a father Jae-won speaks of the way other men speak of weather they cannot control. He has plans for me, Jae-won tells her one evening, sitting under the mango tree behind her family's compound, the sun setting orange behind them. A marriage. A merger disguised as a wedding. And what do you want? He looks at her for a long time before he answers. I want this. I want you. She believes him. God help her, she believes him completely, and when he leaves at the end of his 6 months promising to fight his father, promising to come back, promising a future neither of them can quite picture, she believes that too. 3 months later, she is throwing up every morning and her mother is looking at her with an expression that says she already knows. She writes to him. 6 letters in 4 months. She never once thinks the letters do not reach him, because why would she think that? Why would anyone think that their own blood would intercept love letters meant for their pregnant sister? Emeka was 25 then, already resentful of a family that could not afford his own dreams, already convinced that a foreigner's affair with his sister would bring shame that outweighed any love. He took the letters from the mailbox before Joy ever saw them arrive. He read Jae-won's replies before burning them in the fire behind the latrine. And when Jae-won finally returned, determined and desperate, Emeka met him at the edge of the village with a story so convincing that a heartbroken foreign man had no reason to doubt it. She has moved on. She wants nothing to do with you. Do not shame this family by asking again. Jae-won believed him. And that belief cost both of them 13 years. Back in the present, standing at her gate with the truth finally spilling out of him, Jae-won's hands are shaking. He told me you had a husband, he says. He told me the child, if there was a child, was not mine to claim. There was no husband. Joy's voice is a whisper now, all her anger draining into something rawer, something closer to grief. There was never anyone else. There has only ever been Kelechi in me. Kelechi. The name lands on Jae-won like a physical weight, and Joy watches him repeat it silently, testing the shape of it in his mouth, the name of the son he did not know existed until 60 seconds ago. 12 years old? His voice cracks. 12 years, 4 months. He looks past her again, at the boy who has crept back to the doorway despite being told to leave, at the boy staring at him with. Jae-won's face hardens, the softness of the reunion draining away, replaced by something colder, something that reminds Joy this is not the same awkward boy who once could not bargain at the market. My father is dying, he says. And when he dies, the company passes to me, unless my former fiancé's family can prove I am unfit to inherit. They have been looking for a reason for years. And now they know I have a son in Nigeria. How could they possibly know that? Jae-won's jaw tightens. Because someone told them. Someone who has known where you were the entire time. Joy feels the ground shift again, a second betrayal rising to meet the first, and somewhere behind her, in the shadow of the compound wall, a phone is already ringing in her brother's pocket, and Emeka is already answering it, already whispering into the receiver in a voice too low for Joy to hear, already selling out his sister and his nephew for the second time in 13 years. If you thought the first betrayal was bad, wait until you see what her own brother does next. Subscribe now if you have not already, because this story is only getting darker from here, and I promise you will not see the next twist coming. Emeka's hands shake as he lowers the phone from his ear. Across the compound, through the gap in the mud wall, he can still see his sister standing with the Korean billionaire and the boy, the three of them locked in an embrace that 13 years of his lies were supposed to prevent forever. He should feel guilty. He tells himself he does. But mostly what he feels is fear, cold and immediate, because the voice on the other end of that phone call belongs to a woman named Song Hye-rin, and Song Hye-rin does not make idle threats. You said she was gone, Hye-rin had said, her voice clipped and precise even through a bad connection. You said there was no child. I did not know. You knew enough to take our money 13 years ago. You will take more of it now, or the arrangement we made will become very public, very quickly, and I do not think your village elders would look kindly on a man who sold his own sister's future for foreign currency. Emeka had said yes before he even understood what he was agreeing to. He does not know, standing there in the shadow of the wall, that his agreement has just started a countdown neither he nor his sister can stop. Inside the compound, Jae-won is still holding his son, but his eyes have found Joy's over the boy's shoulder, and something has shifted in his expression, something urgent and afraid. We cannot stay here, he says quietly, careful to keep his voice light for Kelechi's sake. It is not safe. Not for either of you. Safe from what? Joy's voice rises. Jae-won, you show up after 13 years and within the same hour you are telling me my son is in danger? I am telling you the truth, which is more than you have had from anyone in this family for 13 years. His words are gentle but they land like stones. My former fiancé's family has spent a decade looking for any weakness they can use to keep the company from passing to me when my father dies. A hidden son in Nigeria, a son they did not sanction, a son born out of a relationship my father forbade, is exactly the kind of weakness they have been praying for. What would they even do? Jae-won's face darkens in a way that frightens her more than anything he has said yet. They would use him as leverage. As a scandal to bury in the press at the worst possible moment, or worse, as something to hold over me directly. Kelechi pulls back from his father's arms, his young face pale. Hold over you how? Jae-won hesitates, and in that hesitation Joy understands that he is deciding how much truth a 12-year-old can carry. There are people, he says carefully, who believe that if something happened to you, I would give them anything they wanted in exchange for your safety. I need you both to understand that I would. Without hesitation. Which is exactly why they cannot know where you are for one more hour than necessary. The words hang in the hot afternoon air like a threat that has already been spoken aloud somewhere else, by someone else, and is only now catching up to them. Joy's hand finds Kelechi's shoulder, pulling him instinctively closer to her body. You brought this here. You brought danger to my son's doorstep the very same day you learned he existed. I did not bring it, Jae-won says, and there is real pain in his voice now. It has been coming for 13 years. I am simply the first to notice it arrived. If you are gripping your phone right now the way I hope you are, comment the word protect below, because I want to know how many of you are rooting for this family already, and stay with me, because what happens at sundown is going to break something wide open. 2 black cars arrive at the edge of the village before the sun goes down. Jae-won sees them first, through the gap in the compound wall, and something in his posture changes instantly, the awkward vulnerability of an hour ago replaced by a coiled, controlled alertness that Joy has never seen on him before. This is not the boy who once could not haggle at the market. This is the man who runs an empire. Inside, he says, his voice low and urgent. Now. Both of you. Who is that? I do not know yet. Which is exactly why we are not staying to find out. Joy grabs Kelechi's hand and pulls him toward the house, her heart hammering, 13 years of quiet village life shattering. In the span of a single afternoon. Behind her, she hears Jae-won speaking rapidly into his phone, his voice low and clipped, giving instructions in Korean she cannot understand but whose urgency needs no translation. Through the window, she watches 4 men step out of the 2 cars. They are not wearing uniforms. They are not carrying anything visible. But there is something in the way they move, unhurried, methodical, spreading out along the perimeter of the compound, that tells her these are not casual visitors. "Mom," Kelechi whispers, pressed against her side. "I'm scared." "I know, baby. I know." Jae-won steps back into the doorway, his phone now pressed to his chest, his expression grim. "My security team is 11 minutes away. We do not have 11 minutes. Then what do we do?" His eyes move around the small house, calculating, searching for something Joy cannot name. Is there a back way out of this compound? Somewhere they would not expect? The dry riverbed. Behind the cassava field. "Show me." They move fast, Joy's hands shaking as she pulls Kelechi through the back door of the house, through the narrow gap between the goat pen and the cassava stalks, Jae-won close behind them, his eyes constantly scanning, his body positioned instinctively between his family and the men still spreading out at the front of the compound. They are almost to the riverbed when a voice calls out behind them, calm and clear and utterly without mercy. "Chairman Beck." A pause, deliberate, cruel. Running will only make this more difficult for the boy. Jae-won stops so suddenly that Joy nearly collides with him. He turns, slowly, positioning himself fully between his family and the man now standing at the edge of the cassava field, a man in an expensive suit entirely wrong for this heat, his expression as unreadable as stone. "You have no authority here," Jae-won says, and his voice has dropped into something Joy has never heard from him, something dangerous. "I have exactly the authority Ms. Song's family has purchased," the man replies. "And I am simply here to extend an invitation. Your father is dying, Chairman. The board meets in 1 week to determine his successor. It would be a shame if the board discovered, at the worst possible moment, that you have been concealing an illegitimate heir in rural Nigeria. He is not illegitimate. He is my son." Semantics that will matter a great deal to the shareholders. The man's eyes flick to Kelechi, and Joy feels every muscle in her body go rigid. "We simply want to ensure the boy is somewhere safe. Somewhere controlled. Until matters are settled. You will not touch him." The man smiles, and it is the coldest thing Joy has ever seen. "That is entirely up to you, Chairman. Sign the documents Ms. Song's family has prepared, relinquish your claim quietly, and the boy remains exactly where he is, with his mother, forgotten by everyone who matters. Refuse, and I am afraid the situation becomes considerably less peaceful. If you are as furious as I am right now, drop a like on this video, because we are exactly one twist away from Chairman Beck showing this man exactly who he is dealing with, and you do not want to miss it." Joy feels Kelechi's grip tighten on her hand, feels her own heartbeat roaring in her ears, and for one terrible moment she believes this is how it ends, 13 years of separation followed by a single afternoon of reunion, and then everything taken away permanently. But Jae-won does not move. He does not flinch. When he speaks again, his voice carries a weight that makes the man in the expensive suit take an involuntary step backward. "Tell Ms. Song," Jae-won says slowly, "that I have spent 13 years building an empire she does not fully understand. Tell her that I have resources she has not accounted for, alliances she has not mapped, and patience she has severely underestimated. And tell her that the moment she sent men to threaten my son on foreign soil, she handed me every justification I will ever need to destroy her family's standing on the board, permanently and without mercy." The man's composure flickers, just slightly. "You would be declaring war on the Song family. They declared it the moment they touched my son's name." Jae-won's voice does not rise, does not waver. "Leave. Now. Or my men, who are approximately 6 minutes away, will ensure you leave in far less comfortable circumstances." For a long, tense moment, nobody moves. The man in the suit studies Jae-won's face, searching for a bluff and finding none. Then, slowly, he inclines his head. This is not finished, Chairman. No, Jae-won agrees. It is not. But it is finished for today. The man retreats. The cars pull away in a cloud of dust, and Joy sinks to her knees in the dry riverbed, Kelechi collapsing against her, and for the first time since the SUV appeared at her gate, she allows herself to cry. Jae-won kneels beside them both, one hand on his son's back, the other reaching, hesitant, for Joy's shoulder. I am sorry, he whispers. I am so sorry it took me this long, and I am sorry that finding you has brought this danger with it. Joy looks up at him, tears streaming down her face, 13 years of grief and anger and love all tangled together in a single unbearable knot. You are not leaving again, she says, and it is not a question. No. His hand finds hers. Not this time. Not ever again. That night, Jae-won's security team arrives in force, 6 vehicles filling the narrow road outside the compound, men in tactical gear moving with quiet efficiency to secure every entrance and exit. Joy watches from the doorway of her small house as her entire world is rearranged in the span of a few hours, watches men she has never met treat her son with the careful protectiveness of soldiers guarding a prince. Because that is what he is now, she realizes with a jolt that steals her breath. Whatever else Kelechi becomes, he is the heir to something enormous, something powerful, something that people are apparently willing to threaten a child to control. You should sleep, Jae-won says, appearing beside her in the doorway. He has changed out of his ruined suit into simpler clothes, though nothing in this village quite fits a man of his bearing. Tomorrow we need to discuss what comes next. I do not think I can sleep. I understand. He is quiet for a moment, watching his men finish securing the perimeter. Joy, I need to ask you something, and I need you to know that whatever you decide, I will respect it. Her heart stutters. What is it? Come back with me. To Seoul. You and Kelechi both. His voice is careful, deliberate, a man choosing every word with precision. Not because I am demanding it. Not because the danger requires it, though it does. But because I have spent 13 years without you and I do not intend to spend one more day the same way, if you will let me. Joy's breath catches. 13 years of anger and grief rise up in her chest, tangled inextricably with 13 years of love she never managed to kill no matter how hard she tried. My whole life is here, she says quietly. My family. My work. Everything I know. Your family sold you for silence, Jae-won says, and though the words are harsh, his voice is gentle. I am not asking you to abandon everything you love. I am asking you to consider that there might be room for a new life alongside the one you already have. I am asking you to let me spend the rest of my life making up for the years I lost. Joy looks past him, to the small window of Kelechi's room, where she can just make out her son's silhouette, finally asleep after the terror of the day, safe for now under the watch of men his father commands. He deserves to know his father, she says slowly. He deserves more than the half of a life I have been able to give him alone. And you? Jae-won asks. What do you deserve, Joy? She looks at him for a long moment, at the man who broke her heart without ever meaning to, at the man whose family and whose enemies have both conspired to keep them apart for 13 years, at the man standing in front of her now offering an entire life she never let herself imagine. I deserve the truth, she says finally. All of it. No more lies. No more people deciding what I am allowed to know. You have it, Jae-won says. Every piece of it. Starting now. Behind them, unseen, unheard, Emeka watches from the shadow of the compound wall, his phone buzzing again in his pocket with another message from Song Hai-rin, and he knows, with a sick, sinking certainty, that whatever peace has settled over this compound tonight is only temporary. Because the Song family does not lose gracefully. And somewhere in Seoul, in a hospital room where an old man lies dying, a decision is quietly being made about who will inherit an empire, a decision that no one in this small Nigerian village yet understands will decide all of their fates. If you have made it this far, you already know this story is not over, not even close, and I need you to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications right now. Because what happens when Joy and Kelechi step off that plane in Seoul is going to change absolutely everything. Drop a comment telling me if you think Emeka can ever be forgiven, and get ready, because the next chapter of Seoul and Savannah Tales is coming, and I promise you, it is only just beginning.